Here are 10 things that are typical of an HSP. An HSP is a highly sensitive person. That's what I am, and I didn't discover that until perhaps a couple of years ago in my early 60s. And boy, is it a big relief to finally understand that not only am I not weird and abnormal, as I was perhaps led to believe when I was growing up, but that it is something not a condition. It's not an illness, it's not a condition, it is a trait. It's a personality and character trait. It's something that's inside you that you can't help. Just like autistic people cannot help being autistic. An HSP person is not autistic, but you are a highly sensitive person. And actually, there are a lot of strengths to being a highly sensitive person. You're deeply empathetic, for example. So number one, you're deeply upset at other people's pain and animals. You would be really affected if you thought an animal was suffering. For example, when I drive past a dead animal at the side of the road, I wince inside. It's like a visceral reaction because I cannot stand the thought of an animal suffering. And it would be the same with a person. If I thought a person was suffering, it deeply affects me. Number two, you need a lot of downtime. You need to feel safe and comfortable, and you do that when you are alone. That doesn't mean you don't like being with other people, and you might enjoy activities with other people, but you will need to get time on your own, and you will feel exhausted if you have too much social interaction. So you need time to recharge. You prefer dim lights and quiet music rather than loud concerts and bright lights. And you may attend a concert with a friend occasionally, but you might have to slip out halfway through just to get maybe 10 minutes to yourself to recalibrate. That is perfectly normal. You have a deep fear of rejection, and this is probably linked to being rejected as a child or growing up or even as an adult, because people may have criticized you for being oversensitive. They wouldn't have understood that you were just acting out of who you are, that you weren't trying to be dramatic if you were in tears about things quite often, or upset about things, or if you saw something happening and you saw somebody else getting hurt and you got affected because you're so deeply empathetic. You avoid violent or unpleasant scenes in movies, or completely avoid the movie altogether, or the TV show, because it will have an effect on you. You won't be able to just forget about it. You can't laugh it off. Same with online content. So you will actively go out of your way to avoid watching that kind of stuff. Likewise, you don't like reading about violence or reading about gory details. Even things like horror stories, they can affect you and live in your mind forever. You cry really easily and you're not always sure why. Sometimes at the slightest thing, you start crying, or even it seems like there's not the slightest thing, you just start crying. And not necessarily in front of other people. Quite often you will do this when you're alone, but it's quite a common trait to be a tearful person, which is actually very healthy because you're expressing your emotions. You're getting pain and uncomfortable feelings out of you by crying. You have a sharp instinct. You read the room. You feel things deeply in your heart and in your spirit. So you should trust your gut, because most of the time you'll be right. Maybe not all the time, but you will be right most of the time, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Approximately 30% of HSPs are extroverts. You're not necessarily an introvert, but you will need to just balance your time with spending time with people and spending time alone so that you can feel comfortable with yourself.